Hi, Moin, Real Moments TV. What does Moin mean? What language is that? Like hi, hi. I don't need too many people in here. Real. Nice to meet you, Real. You can call me Bobby. Where are you from, Real? For whatever reason, my router's not working. Germany. What's it like in Germany? Is it fun? Do you like living in Germany?
Nearly 70% of long haul truck drivers are obese. This isn't just a job, it's one of the most dangerous life.
I used to think this natural healing handbook was out of my budget until I saw this secret set. Since a lot of people think they will.
Let me know if the background music is too loud. What do you do? I do photo restoration. I have a business where I do photo edits and photo restoration. But these days, I mostly just do. I make videos for YouTube for people, and I get clients who pay me to make videos for the YouTube. Plus, I also travel like a nomad. I like to travel a lot, and I also officiate fights. I do that too. But that's like a hobby, not a real job.
The Daily Show. My name is John Stu. When do we got a show for you tonight? Civil Liberties attorney Janine Eunice will be here later.
Yeah, it's for the most part I get really bad back pains, but that's mostly because my work chair is really messed up. So and not really tiring. It's tiring. It's more boring than it is tiring. More boring because I spend a lot of time alone, just me and my dog, and so it gets really boring. But recently I've started streaming sometimes on YouTube, so that's a bit better. And I meet a lot of new people and exciting people. People like you, for instance. I'm having the worst internet connection. Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué pasó? Oh, India. But you said hola. Hola is Spanish. India is supposed to say namaste. See? What's good, bro? What's it like in India? How's life over there? Uh-huh. Oh, my connection really sucks. Where did you go, real? You disappeared. I make videos for YouTube and I do Photoshop edits. I'm a photo editor, a video editor, and I also officiate fights like the UFC, but not as big as the UFC. So I also do that too. I do sports too, but that's more like a hobby. How about you? Nice to meet you too, man. Nice to meet you, Abid Khan. So what do you do for a living? Wow, that sounds like a really exciting job and really smart too. No, okay, not necessarily exciting, but really smart. Like you gotta be really smart to do this work, and I'm really impressed because I know I tried to learn how to do this some time back, and man, it was just too much. Salute, man. Salute. But how do you feel these days with AI everywhere? How do you feel about your job? Are you like, I don't know, positive that AI is going to be like a positive effect on your work, or you're maybe like scared or apprehensive about the future? Like, what's your take? Clement H4I. I'm good, my bro. How's your day going? What's popping? Are you having a great day? My day was great. Just finished eating. I'll have some smoke and head to bed. How's your day going, brother? I'm also learning. Okay. Yeah, my day is going great. I got a lot of stress, to be honest, like a lot. But I'm not letting those bother me. You know, I just act like they don't exist, and they don't really bother me at all. So, but yeah, my day is going okay. I would like to have a smoke too, but I don't want to have a smoke in live. I think that's inappropriate. And yeah, sounds nice, man. Sounds fucking nice. I'm just thinking about doing some push-ups because I like to do at least 110 push-ups every day, and it's not, and I haven't done any today. So, but yeah, he said I am also learning video editing in AI. Actually, I make animated cartoon, but fail to edit them. That's fucking crazy, man. Look, see, all right. I'm just working on a video, like an animated video. Like you say, I'm doing it on CapCut. But yeah, you should try. I know you might be really busy doing software engineering, so it's also hard to find time to do video editing because video editing can be really time consuming sometimes. Like not sometimes, every time it's really time consuming. But when you do it with AI, I guess that might be easier. I don't really know how to do that, but I use the AI features on CapCut for my videos, so I guess maybe that's what you're talking about. But it's nice. Okay. It makes things a whole lot easier. But it's also really expensive. Not CapCut, but the whole different tools, Level Labs and all that. Well, yes, you mean, can you give some demo class on video editing? Also, which tools or sites you use? Yeah, I can tell you. I can tell you. I don't really gatekeep like that. But I can't. I don't think I can give a demo class. But I can just tell you a bit. Like right now, I'm using CapCut, and I'm making an animated video. And here's something I just realized: you can actually make really amazing lip sync with just like $24 a month, and they even have a free plan where you can test the shit out. So it's like really crazy. Let me show you the one I did a while ago. I was like totally gobsmacked because it used to take me so long to make this. Now, look, watch.
there are. Suddenly, she wanted to talk about us again. What's that? But sometimes I wonder, does anyone genuinely think of me as the asshole? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.
Fucking crazy shit. Absolutely crazy. I was absolutely gobsmacked when I saw this. Like, damn, you know, because I didn't expect the results to be that amazing. Considering I didn't even pay for the tool. Not necessarily. No, bro. I didn't really do much. It's AI, bro. I'm not gonna take credit for that. To be honest. Yeah, I put everything together, but AI did the lip sync, and it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. So yeah, but it's also depends on what expensive is to you. It can also get pricey because sometimes I spend like upwards of $150 per month on tools that I use, AI tools. So that can get really pricey, especially when you do professional work. If you're gonna animate lip sync on, let's say, Adobe Animates, it's not gonna be that good, and it's gonna take like maybe 6 hours to animate maybe like a 30 minutes clip or a 1 hour clip. So imagine doing it in like 5 minutes with AI. You know, it's really amazing, to be honest. So you want to learn video editing because you want to have your own YouTube channel, or you just, I don't know, maybe you want to share videos on other platforms, or you just enjoy making videos. My plan is to make educational cartoon and upload to YouTube. Okay, that sounds exciting. That sounds exciting. You can use Doodly for that. You can use Adobe Animates. You can use CapCut. You know, and there are a lot of AI tools that you can use for that too. I'm sure you already know because I'm sure you've done your research. But it sounds exciting. It's just try to make it happen, man. You know, Just try to make it happen. That's all. Just try to find time and put in a bit of work. Just add some momentum. I'm sure you can do it. And you already have your niche, and you're sure it's a niche that's gonna work. Like there are other channels in the niche that's doing well, that you like, you want to model.
I never thought I'd be telling this story. My name's Ron. I'm 31 now. When this story starts, I was 30 and convinced I was building a future with my then girlfriend Maya. I'd been with Maya for 3 years. She was 33.
Civil liberties we're going to be talking about. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daily Show. My name is John Stewart. Man, do we got a show for you tonight. Civil liberties attorney Janine Eunice will be here later. Civil liberties we're going to be talking about. They don't care. They don't care. Or we'll talk about whatever the government needs it for. I really, I'm trying to keep myself spirited. How's your What the It's happening! What? Enough is happening in this country, from Minnesota to Venezuela to Iran to Greenland, Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, to Philadelphia. I'm sorry, not all the news was bad. Why is the President of the United States declaring on Wikipedia that he is now the President of Venezuela? That's real. Why is our Fed chairman making what appears to be a hostage video. How did steak become the healthiest food in the country? What is happening? We are on the Donald Trump gravitron. We don't know what up or down is, we just know it feels like we're all at fine. Each moment brings another event with cataclysmic implications and consequences. The guy at the center of it, the instigator, the catalyst of all this chaos. He's just out there TGIFing and go, hey, what's up, everybody? Hey, see you soon. I'll see you first. Boom, boom, boom. Just look at Venezuela. We took it over, what, 3 years ago? 4 years ago? 5 years ago? Meanwhile, our State Department says if you're an American, there are armed gangs in Venezuela trying to kill you. So you would think that maybe this calls for a gathering situation change, or wherever is operationally right for talking about Venezuela right now. The president, different.
President Trump convening top oil executives at the White House to talk about divvying up Venezuela's oil.
Yes, a meeting of all of the most important stakeholders. Exxon, Chevron, Halliburton, and of course, the guy from Dune who lives in the oil. By the way, I think you can tell. I don't use that tree. But by the way, lest you worry that Donald Trump is in any way feeling the burden of this moment, the terrifying responsibility of so many lives held in his hands, let me reassure you, he's not.
Here we are, and if you look, come to think of it, well, I gotta look at this myself.
We're trying to have an urgent meeting on possibly the collapse of a petrostate. You can just get it caught out like that. And look at it. Look at the faces on Echo and Jeff. Just thinking and smiling like, oh, Paul. He's so cute. You should see him when the ice cream truck goes by.
What a view. This is the door to the bar.
Really, this meeting is the moment for you to ballroom act them out. Armed gangs are roaming freely through both of the countries you say you run right now. But go ahead, take a moment to look at what might be through the window. You're like the Walt Disney of chaos. All it takes is imagination. By the way, if you've been up and walking to the window, and you don't think that's enough of a doddering old man move, old Cankles McGee had one more chewable tongues up his sleeve.
You're all gonna do very well. I think really very well. Marco just gave me a note. Go back to Chevron. They want to discuss something. Go ahead. I'm going back to Chevron. Thank you, Marco.
Does anyone else have a private note they'd like me to read aloud? Anybody? Now, by the way, there was an oil company, Exxon, that expressed some reservations about investing money in rebuilding the infrastructure of a country that is, and I quote, not ours, and is somewhat volatile at the moment. How does the president handle this somewhat rational cost-benefit analysis?
That would probably be inclined to keep Exxon out. I didn't like their response. They're playing too cute.
They're playing too cute. You just made yourself the president of Venezuela on Wikipedia. But they're the ones that are being blamed. Do you see how tough everything is right now? First of all, I have to defend the good faith of an oil company because they don't think they can safely extract another country's resources in as cost-effective a manner as might benefit their shareholders. Who am I anymore? And by the way, Donald, why are you the president of Venezuela? Doesn't your oath of office to America have a non-compete? What are we doing? What, are you just trying to take up a few extra hours for the just need a little couple extra bucks until like February, March. And ballrooms are gonna pay for itself. Meanwhile, in Iran, protesters have taken to the streets, tired of the totalitarian rule of the mullahs, and have been gunned down in the streets. Protests and violence have broken out throughout that country. It is chaotic and fragile. So guess who's thinking about stepping right in? That's right, the president of Venezuela.
So, I mean, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful.
I have options. Did you hear me? I have options. Not Congress, not the American people. I. Donald Trump is the sole factor in all decisions everywhere, throughout the world now. He just wants to take a little more time staring out the window before he lets us know what fresh hell he will unleash next. The most confusing thing about his reason for intervening in Iran is his reason.
When this story
President
starts,
Trump is
I was
warned of
13.
striking Iran if the regime kills protesters.
There seems to be some people killed, and it must be killed.
We may have to bomb Iran to prevent Iran's government from shooting protesters. Looks directly into camera with an expression of half bewilderment and despair. P.S. John, don't read this part. And if that's not enough, in the middle of all this,
We are going to do something in Greenland, whether they like it or not. I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're gonna do it the hard way.
it's Greenland! Based on my knowledge, everything there is done the hard way. You know when you order food in Greenland, Uber Eats takes 8 days. And they don't deliver over fjords. So the point is, people, don't show up on Iran and Venezuela and Minneapolis. You gotta save room for this other invasion. It's like a whole mukbang of catastrophic possibilities. It's exhausting. This is all just one weekend. And why do we even need Greenland?
We need Greenland very bad.
Why? And why do we suddenly need all of Venezuela's oil and whatever is buried under Greenland? What is? Can I ask a question? Are we broke? Is that why we have to do all this? Did you lose your job? Did you somehow Trump Casino the United States? Because if the country needs money, we can all get second jobs. We'll all be president somewhere if Wikipedia will have us. I don't understand. Why do we have to take over?
If we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not gonna have Russia or China as a neighbor.
Russia's already on it. This is where Greenland is. Russia's closer. Unless in your mind you think Alaska lives in a box next to Hawaii. No, I get it. We don't want Russia or China to take over Greenland. What we know we could deter it. Not through arrogance or conquest, but what if we formed like kind of an alliance with Denmark and Greenland? We can include all the North Atlantic nations. What would we call this? Like almost like a North Atlantic treaty organization that I don't know what we could, I guess we'll never know. But again, since we all now dance to the tune of one piper, what possible justifications could you have for just taking someone else's land? And please, if you would, irony-proof your answer.
I'm a fan of Denmark, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land.
Can someone pass him a note? How do you think we got our land? We landed here on a boat 500 years ago, and it was ours. And you're out there, hey, Denmark doesn't own it because they landed on it 500 years ago. That's like the argument you make when you want to give land back to the people who were already there. Not for you to then take it because you've got a bigger boat. You're doing some weird reverse woke land acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge Greenland sits on colonized and conquered indigenous people's land. And I would also like to say, dibs. Why am I even trying, by the way? Why do I even care to figure this out? It's not like anyone on your side ever takes the effort to convince all of us on the United States long-term policy goals. It all just appears to be like a lazy Susan of vengeful whims from our all-powerful mad king. Did you know that Trump doesn't like Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell? Because Trump wants to be able to dictate our country's interest rates himself. Now there's poor Jerome Powell. Now you got him looking like he's broadcasting from Taliban territory.
The Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned in part a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings.
Can someone get this person a glass of water? And by the way, I don't feel good about this next joke, but I'm about to do it. It's not Bloomberg Green, it's just inside finance. So anyone who doesn't listen to Bloomberg surveillance in the morning, you can just leave the room. Oh. Okay. Wow. That dude, he's struggling. It appears the chairman of the Federal Reserve is having a liquidity crisis. That's going to kill at the terminals. I'm going to remind you, all of this is happening in 1 weekend. All of it, 1 weekend. This president has made monumental changes in the manner in which this country operates. The American people are rightfully feeling a vertigo about how a country born on self-determination and constitutional republic principles can turn into, whatever you say, boss, sounds like a good idea, boss. So I think the American people reasonably have questions. But when the American people raise those questions,
What a stupid question. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? It's a stupid question. It's a terrible question. You are a terrible reporter. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news.
how dare we? How dare we? How dare we question His Excellency? I don't know what we were thinking. You know what? We owe you an apology, sir. Mr. President, sir, we are so deeply sorry to have questioned your singular and delicate genius. It's just that this is a kind of an adjustment for us, because we've all been raised in the American system of government. I'm not going to get into the weeds with it. 3 co-equal branches of government, checks and balances, something about quartering soldiers. I think it's quartering. It's in cursive. The Q could be a P or an S. The point is this. That's what we've been operating under for the last 250 years. If you want to learn about it, President Trump, you can ask all your acolytes. They say they keep it in their pockets. I guess it's kind of irrelevant. So you just have to give us some time to adjust to this new world of total compliance so we can understand the rules. Because, it's confusing. Like, for instance, we all watched the footage of January 6th. But I think we may have gotten a very different interpretation of it. rather than the correct interpretation of it, which of course is yours. So help me out here. We'll play a game. On January 6th, a bunch of
They were peaceful people. These were great people.
went to the Capitol.
Peacefully protesting a stolen election.
I have never seen such spirit and such passion and such love. But while they were there,
Capitol Hill police officers instigated the violence that day.
so the people we saw earlier beating the shit out of police officers were hardworking, loving people provoked by law enforcement. And ultimately, they deserve a got it. Don't agree that's what actually happened or what should have happened afterwards, but at least it sets a precedent. But now let's jump ahead, I don't know, a day to January 7th. We've all seen that footage. I think I know what I saw that day too, but let's go through it again with the correct interpretation. On January 7th, a highly disrespectful,
Deranged lunatic woman
Professional ICE agitator, domestic terrorist.
did what? This woman used her car as a weapon to try to run over an ICE agent in attempted murder. And so she was.
Shot and killed.
So very little of the descriptions that you were saying matched what we all saw on the tape. The important lesson here is what? She brought it upon herself. Robin, we are in a confusing, dark place. And this is where, quite frankly, rule of law institutions are kind of an important framework. But now that those are gone, what's our North Star?
Do you see any checks on your power on the world stage? Is there anything that can stop you if you wanted to?
Yeah, there's one thing, my own morality, my own mind.
So nothing. But thank you, I'm no longer confused. Couldn't be more clear. In America today, Donald Trump is the sun. And if you revolve around him and worship him, his warmth shines upon you. You can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose his support, as long as it's done on his behalf. But if you do not support him, if you live in the darkness of what I guess we will refer to from now on as blue states, fearing the day he turns his terrible wrath towards you, whether you're a single human woman on a side street somewhere in Minneapolis, or a sovereign nation that happens to have land and resources, because we, a larger sovereign nation, think we also might want. And so his people are making a bet that adhering to a principle of forced compliance and coercion will give us a more stable and prosperous America than a principle of shared alliance and common interest. It's kind of a tough bet because I read somewhere, I don't know where, that people have inalienable rights granted by a creator, not a king. So holding that coerced world together is going to be kind of a tall task. But if anybody's up for it, it's Donald Trump. A man with unrivaled focus and discipline. Actually, you know what? Could you give me a second? I'm just, I'm so curious. I just want to go Well, let's get on to the big story. Ladies and gentlemen, this weekend, President Trump and an elite team of Delta Force special operators removed a dangerous foreign dictator from power. Not that one. They're actually friends. And quite frankly, I think business partners. No, not that. They're also quite close. That's okay. I believe these two have more of a heated rivalry vibe. If you know what I mean, so it's not that one. No, that one. No, that wasn't us. Now I'm talking about the now former president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, who was reverse iced and imported. He was actually imported to a jail in Brooklyn. But don't feel bad for him. He was a feared and cruel dictator. Don't worry, be happy. La, 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 la. Bobby McFerrin karaoke? You monster. But I know that could make some seem benign, almost kind of comical. But the truth is, Maduro oversaw a repressive regime that impoverished his nation, silenced dissent, and killed thousands. La, la, la. But his iron rule and acapella terror came to an end on Friday night when U.S. Special Forces raided Caracas, Venezuela's only city, as far as we know, and snatched Nicolas Maduro out of his bedroom, apparently before he could even take off his sleep mask. His aura ring must have been like, you had a bad night. You did not get good deep sleep. And as it unfolded, Donald Trump was overseeing it all from a secure location, the Situation tent at Mar-a-Lago. I don't want to be a dick or a nitpicker, but is this the most secure location? In Mar-a-Lago, behind the curtain you throw up in front of the catering kitchen? But this is a matter of utmost national security. Dessert's gonna have to come out through the service entrance. I was never here. I was like acting as though I was coming out of it. But obviously, despite the makeshift command center, this was a highly technical and complex operation that required months of training and preparation.
After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets.
Well, that does explain this photo from the raid. I hope you like eating kibble and gitmo. Daphne. We debated before the show. Is it mildly racist that we gave him a chihuahua? Is that thinking of it, like, is that it's chihuahuas from Mexico, this is Venezuela? And I thought, well, so there is some nuance to it. It's still mildly racist. You're welcome. Now, obviously, this is actually a very fraught moment for the world. It's highly unusual for any government, any sovereign nation, to violate the airspace and territory of another sovereign nation and hit the grab and go on their president. Explaining it will require the deft hand of an accomplished statesman. Let me get there. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the President of the United States addressing the nation in this solemn moment.
The United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. It was dark and it was deadly. If you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, there were different days, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city. Restaurants are opening, everyone's happy. They're going, they walk in their daughters, they walk in their children, their wives. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C.
So in closing, we hadn't grabbed Maduro, you'd still be taking Ubers to Ruth's Chris. Unless you think I'm making our president look cavalier in this moment, here's Trump describing how he experienced this consequential operation.
If you would have seen what happened, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show.
And then I flipped over to see who was on Kimmel. Can you believe he still gets to interview Millie Bobby Brown? I mean, he's got no talent. Anyway, back to abducting the president of Venezuela. No one knows how this operation is going to work out. But based on the United States track record, my guess is we're going to be really happy about this for a couple of weeks. And then 30 years from now, there will be a Venezuelan leftist revolution, and the new government will point to this moment as the reason our embassy there is on fire. And it will absolutely ruin a Democrat's presidency. Generally, that's how this shit works. And remember, the reason MAGA was so high on Donald Trump was that he was the guy who wasn't going to get involved with this kind of shit anymore.
We do not seek war. We do not seek nation building. We do not seek regime change. And we don't want to be the world's policeman.
We don't want to be. Those gates are open now. No more American boots on the ground.
We're not afraid of boots on the ground.
No more rebuilding of the country's infrastructure.
We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure.
Well, it's not like we're going to be running someone else's country.
We are going to run the country.
So let me get this. This is a big change in America First policy, is it not? And a change in policy this big is going to need some of that Trump marketing and branding magic.
And the Monroe Doctrine is a big deal, but we've superseded it by a lot, by a real lot. They now call it the Donroe Doctrine.
Donroe Doctrine? That's the one when someone calls it out, you go, look, no bad ideas. But honestly, not your best work. The Donroe Doctrine, it's obviously a portmanteau of Monroe and Donald. I guess it's a spin-off of the Monroe Doctrine, famously adopted by President James Monroe in 1823 when he warned colonial powers not to interfere in our hemisphere. Let me let a historian explain.
When you look over here, that's Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine.
Why is he up there?
I think the Monroe Doctrine is pretty important. You know, that was his claim to fame.
Claim to fame? Like he ate 18 hot dogs in one sitting? I mean, I guess it's correct. You can't really name another thing Monroe was famous for. But it's not like everywhere Monroe went, they'd be like, hey, aren't you that guy for the doctrine? Hey, get over here. It's the doctrine guy. Hey! What are you doing in our hemisphere? I told you that would work. Doctrine humor. That's what it is. Now, generally in American history, when we intervene in another country, whether true or not, we come up with a high-minded pretense. Liberating the people, spreading democracy, introducing baseball to the Japanese. They complained at first, but totally worked. On what moral foundation will this conflict be framed?
We're going to have presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil. We're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be.
Seems a little on the nose. Oil, precious commodity, certainly, but not the reason a country formed 250 years ago on the ideas of liberty and self-determination would go into a country and snatch a man at night. There must be a slightly more noble pretense.
We're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground. We need total access. We need access to the oil.
Sir, again, I see where we're going here. Do you mind just reframing that? I'm not quite clear on the high-minded principle behind this.
In other words, we'll be selling oil.
Is this your first war? I mean, what the f***? All right, let's table this for now. Senator Lindsey Graham, you're an old hand at warmongering. You've done this a bunch. You're on the plane. Can you help this dude out with the Casas Belli and keep Trump from bringing it back to oil?
There are going to be Americans alive today because he shut down a narco-terrorist state called Venezuela. This is a good thing, not a bad thing.
And the oil companies are going to go in and rebuild that system.
We can't even be conspiracy theorists now. I think they did it for the oil. Yeah, no, I did it for the oil. Is there any other reason? Can you give us anything? There's a lot of issues, human rights violations, political prisoners down in Venezuela. We could certainly free them and improve the lives of dissidents.
You want to demand that Delcy Rodriguez let opposition figures return or free any political prisoners? We haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, what we want to do is fix up the oil, fix up the country.
Yes, we'll get the people out of jail, but first we have to liberate the oil from its ground prison. That oil's been locked up for millions of years, yearning to burn free. Obviously, I'm being cynical. It's not purely for oil. Even Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick on the plane could tell you that on his way out of the bathroom.
You have steel, you have minerals, right? All the critical minerals. They have a great mining history that's gone rusty. So steel, aluminum, minerals,
these motherfuckers are going full conquistador in front of our eyes. I mean, they got oil, steel, minerals. Oh, and don't forget about the spices. Spices. We'll load our ships with cinnamon and cardamom, oil and everything bagels. You'll see. And they might have gotten away with it too. But our country is a democracy. So bad news, Don Rowe. Your little oil heist is going to have to get past the Democrats and Inspector Schumer.
So I've been talking to so many members of my caucus today. Everybody is very, very just totally troubled, worried.
History has its eyes. Well, if it were two totalies and one Barry, I'd say Trump is getting off scot-free. But three totalies and two Barrys? And trouble worried? I don't want to say the president doesn't respect the Democrats. But he did not brief them before or after this attack. Now, you could say that was in the interest of national security and operational confidentiality. But not for this one group he did speak to.
I asked even then before an operation to play, yes, you maybe typical, not before and after.
And then I told Pepsi and Nabisco, Color Guard, I don't know why. What's the suitcase company on Instagram? I told them. I told him. I told her. I let the president of Zims shoot some missiles out. But I didn't tell any of the Democrats. I don't feel bad for the Democrats. They will be totally, very, very fine. Probably even gain a seat in the midterms. The people I feel sorry for are the Trump defenders. The defenders, the sycophants, who haven't received the memo that we no longer have to frame our adventurism in the ideals of our great country.
And this is a very strong way to support democracy.
Nothing greater than an American president who liberates people, liberated them from a strongman who's been holding by force and intimidation this country hostage.
We're not about nation building.
The president doesn't want us natural resources. We don't want their oil.
Oh, poor sweet Brian Julian. Sweet Brian. Trump already explicitly said he wants their oil. And democracy? Trump has already said he wants Venezuelans to freely choose their leaders as long as those leaders are acceptable to us. He's already said he's going to select who will be their next leader. And guess what? This ain't a one-off.
Colombia is very sick, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long. Well, by the way, you have to do something with Mexico. We need Greenland. Cuba is ready to fall. You know?
Let the word go forth to a new generation of Americans that if we need shit, and it's not too far away, we are going to take it. Anything else you want to take over? I think there's still some time to go after Warner Brothers Discovery. The American doesn't have Netflix money, but we will after we get that sweet oil. And by the way, Lindsey Graham. Honestly, I have never seen him happier. Like a leprechaun in a bowl of Lucky Charms. I think we're going to go after Cuba. Yeah. That sounds real good, boy. Real good. Look, this is all exhausting and exposes the Gulf of America, not the body of water. The real Gulf of America is the gap between the high aspirations that embody the founding of this country and the thuggish gangsterism that this crew thinks makes us great again. And if I may offer the news media a New Year's resolution, it's that I don't ever want to hear again about the ramifications of how Trump's actions, however counter to what he promised in his campaign, or the files that he might release, might alienate his base.
Do you expect to see some splits in the MAGA movement? Will the MAGA base start to break away?
Why do you wish for his MAGA base?
How's it going to play for MAGA?
It'll play fine! The MAGA, the woman, their fervor against intervention will be only matched by their delight in this intervention. There is no material on earth more valuable than the hive mind connection between Donald Trump and his acolytes. And no matter how many times he betrays the principles they claim to love him for, they will react over and over with the exact same refrain. Don't worry.
The world is still in shock over Donald Trump's surprise door dashing of Nicolas Maduro to Brooklyn. And he didn't even tick. And I have to say, I did not see this Venezuela thing coming. And I read the news every day. So a lesson here is reading is pointless. But now, Maduro will face justice in the best legal system in the world that we illegally kidnapped him to. And it all began yesterday morning when he showed up to court. And if this isn't Iraq all over again, why are they reusing Saddam Hussein's courtroom schedule? Let's see how his first day went.
Maduro greeted spectators in the courtroom saying, "Buenos dias."
Buenos dias. Smart legal strategy by Maduro. If he speaks Spanish, ICE might bust in and deport him back to Venezuela just out of habit. I'm starting to think this guy might beat the rap.
As the judge asked, "Are you Nicolas Maduro?" "I'm the president of the Republic of Venezuela," a defiant Maduro responded.
Ah, you blew it. You should have just said no. The judge will be like, "You heard the man, case dismissed." But there is some good news for Maduro. He's not alone.
This morning, Nicolas Maduro and wife Celia Flores are waking up in jail, returned after a day in court where they both pleaded not guilty to charges they worked together to traffic cocaine.
God damn, his wife was trafficking cocaine with him? I guess in other countries, first ladies have actual responsibilities. Hey, I bet Trump is jealous of their relationship. I mean, he must be like, "Melania, why can't we ever do couple stuff like the Maduros?" Now, they might spend the rest of their lives together in prison, but to be fair, aren't all marriages kind of a prison? It's okay, I can't make that joke. My wife only watches on Mondays. But look, okay, this is a tough one for MAGA because Trump's whole thing was not getting into foreign wars. So they must be giving a lot of serious consideration into all of the geopolitical implications of this new doctrine.
I've seen a lot of stuff, but this Venezuela thing, that was awesome. Oh, man.
This is like watching a 12-year-old do a news report about the first time he saw boobs. The rumors are true, people. Those are awesome. Who is this show for, anyway? Like, how dumb is his audience that they're like, hey, let's see what Greg thinks of this. Oh yeah, hey, honey, Greg thinks it's awesome. I'm totally satisfied on an intellectual level now. But it turns out not everyone thinks forcing a regime change in another country is a good idea. And for those people, Mike Johnson is here to ease your mind.
I want to say that the way that this is being described, I think, is accurate. This is not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime.
It's not a regime change, it's a changed regime. Thank you, stupid Yoda. It's like, stupid Yoda says, do or do not, there is no Epstein files. Why is Mike Johnson downplaying this? I mean, the U.S. overthrew a government at gunpoint with no plan. Doesn't this bother anyone?
Hey, look, I'm appreciative of the president has done with this, and I know there's going to be those out there that are going to be the critics. But you know, sometimes when you break a few eggs, we got to learn how to make some omelets. But then this is exactly what we're going to do.
We break a few eggs, then learn how to make an omelet? I mean, this guy f***ed up the metaphor so badly that he accidentally got it right. Because that's not how you make an omelet, but that's exactly what we did in Venezuela. We just went in and broke everything, and now we're like, hey, where's a recipe for omelets? We have a lot of oil, I know we can use that. But look, I get what's happening here, okay? No one in MAGA expected this to happen. So they're all scrambling to find an answer that makes sense to them. Even MAGA mega church pastors are flipping through the Bible like, hey, there's got to be something in here.
They say you have seized Venezuela for the oil. Yes, this is true. But the spiritual oil and the natural oil does not belong to the forces of darkness. And the oil of the natural and the oil of the spirit is mine, says the Lord.
No, I get it, okay? The oil is a metaphor for oil. I mean, is that what the Holy Trinity is? Regular, unleaded, and diesel. I know Christianity is weird, but this doesn't sound like something God would say. Don't kill, don't steal, but feel free to go absolutely apeshit on oil. This is also why Buddha is the best, because you never see a MAGA monk going, let go of all your attachments, except the Greenland, which is ours. But maybe we don't need religion or f***ed up breakfast metaphors to explain why Trump kidnapped Maduro. Because last night, we heard from Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy secretary, and guy who didn't go bald, it just never came in the first place. And he gave a very clear answer about why we did this. Because we can.
We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. You can talk all you want about international niceties and everything else, but we live in a world, in a real world, Jake, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power.
No, shut up. You heard this, dweeb, okay? This is what a superpower looks like now. A guy whose head looks like a f***ed up circumcision. Okay? And with them in charge, America can stop pretending to be the nice guy. And nobody's more excited to be the bully for a change than Stephen Miller.
This neoliberal frame that the United States jobs to go around the world and demanding immediate elections be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away. Just no vacuum.
That's not what I think. You invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
Damn straight we did. I can swear whenever I want. I don't give a dick shit what my parents say, bitch. Listening to this guy talk is like if Nazis took helium instead of meth. But still, this is a big change for Americans. They're now being told that their view of themselves as a benevolent force for good is gone, and they're now the evil empire. And as we have this photo of a foreign leader in our custody, every American has to decide how to respond in this moment.
And this photo seen around the world of Maduro blindfolded wearing a tracksuit, sparking a surprising response.
It's a Nike Tech Fleece jacket and jogging pants. Now there's a run on the $140 outfit. Guys have started posting images of themselves wearing it. Here at the Nike store in Midtown Manhattan, the so-called Maduro tracksuits are flying off the shelves.
Wow, you can really go shopping fast when you don't have a life. What's wrong with you people? Okay, not everything has to be content. Can't this just be a bloody coup without clout chasing? I wish the like and subscribe button was your face so I could smash it over and over again. It's been 5 days since America invaded Venezuela, arrested its president, and seized control of the country. And now the real work begins. Nation building. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I meant narrative building.
The bottom line is we now have freedom in Venezuela.
I have so many Venezuelan friends. They are crying tears of joy.
This is their first real opportunity to experience democracy and freedom. Listen, people smell freedom in the air, and they can thank Donald J. Trump.
That's right, Trump is stinking up the joint with freedom. Can you smell it? Just crop dusting our hemisphere of democracy. Breathe it in, people. Finally, the Venezuelan people are in charge of their own destiny. Let's see exactly what kind of freedom they have won.
President Donald Trump announced that Venezuela will be giving the U.S. 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to be sold. This oil will be sold at its market price, and the money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America.
Okay, look. Say what you want about his corruption. At least Trump is hands-on with it, okay? Dick Cheney had to funnel it through Halliburton or whatever. But Donald Trump is like, yo, just give me the oil. I'll open a gas pump outside the Oval Office. Okay, just come drive right up, but no Amex. So yes, Venezuela has agreed to hand over approximately $2 billion worth of oil to the United States out of the goodness of their hearts and because we are mugging them. Which seems harsh, but you know what? A little bit of oil money for President Trump is a small price to pay for illegally kidnapping the president. And now that this payoff is taken care of, America will get out of your hair. Goodbye forever, Venezuela. You're finally free.
The U.S. now imposing a military blockade on its oil exports, using it as leverage to get Venezuela to give in to the Trump administration's demands. The U.S. has conveyed to the interim leader of Venezuela that she must agree to partner exclusively with the U.S. on oil production and kick out officials from China, Russia, Iran, and Cuba, severing all economic ties with those countries.
I think we all know what's going on. Ladies, when your new boyfriend forces you to cut ties with all of your friends, he's a keeper. Sorry, it kind of feels like Trump wants to be the new dictator of Venezuela, but that can't be right, right?
We obviously have maximum leverage over the interim authorities, and their decisions are going to continue to be dictated by the United States of America.
Okay, look, I know how that sounds, but just because you dictate doesn't make you a dictator, okay? Because It doesn't. Because dictators, they live in like a gold palace or so. And to any Venezuelans looking for advice on how to get rid of Donald Trump, we have no idea. But I can tell you one thing that doesn't work: satire. Doesn't do shit. But if you're in a country in the area and this sounds like a good deal, well, good news. You're next.
This is the start of changing Venezuela, then we're going to fix Cuba, Nicaragua will be fixed. Next year we'll get a new president in Colombia. Democracy is coming back to this hemisphere.
Okay. First of all, congratulations to this guy on surviving the Ark of the Covenant. And second, look, okay, the world is a messed up place. If an oil rampage is what it takes to spread democracy, maybe that's what it takes, okay? Stop being such babies. So which of these tyrannical dictatorships are we going after next?
President Trump and his team are also targeting a northern ally of the U.S. with new threats to take over Greenland.
That's right, Greenland. Because the only thing we hate more than a brutal authoritarian regime is whatever the complete opposite of that is. That's just one little hitch with invading Greenland.
Denmark, which controls the independent territory, is a close NATO ally. The Danish Prime Minister has said a U.S. attack on NATO territory would effectively end the alliance, which has never seen one member attack another.
Great, okay, that means they won't expect it. The definition of a sneak attack, okay? The point is we need Greenland. Why? For their freedom, or their oil, or for national defense. Look, I don't remember what excuse we're using. But, okay, this congressman, he'll explain.
It's important that we have a stake in Greenland. When you look at the Western Hemisphere, we are the dominant predator, quite frankly, force in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah, Trump is the dominant predator in the Western Hemisphere. At least now that Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Everything in America is super cool right now. We are very lucky to live in a country where we enjoy a great relationship with law enforcement agencies. President Trump is doing everything he can to keep us safe, and oh, it looks like the incredibly handsome mayor of Minneapolis has something to say.
To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
Okay, look, to be fair, ICE is what people in Minneapolis say most winters anyway. Okay? But this time he's actually referring to the immigration cops. I assume at this point you've all seen the horrible video, or you've been working really hard not to see it, so don't worry, I'm not going to show it to you. But basically, ICE agents surrounded this woman's car and ended up shooting her when she tried to drive away from them. That certainly